If you'll please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Should hit the gavel. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to our Monday, November 21st school board meeting. I will move on to our agenda approval, deletions, additions. Dr. Veraco.
Thank you, Mrs. Suze. You do have an agenda before you that have no additions from last week. Seek approval.
We have a motion by Dr. Medlin. Second by Dr. Malco. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Mrs. Kelly, is there any correspondence this evening?
There is none to report.
Thank you. We'll move on to our liaison committee updates, and we'll start with Mr. Marshall.
Thank you. At this point, there's been no activity on the interview committee.
Thank you. Mrs. Kelly?
And I have nothing to report on the redevelopment or the parks at this meeting.
All right. Dr. Medlin?
Nothing to report with the redevelopment commission. The wellness committee, there it seems that there has been some interest from teachers to get the wellness committee rolling again, so that's in the works as far as I know.
Thank you. Dr. Malco?
Correct. With the Lake Central Education Foundation, they have just been very, very, very busy. And I think I shared with you the last time that they did the Portillos the day after the big 5K race. So I don't have anything new to report on that, although we are very anxious to receive our financials to know where we can go. We really do want to change our model a little bit and be a little bit more community-oriented and get more community involvement. The Dyer Parks Department, it's a cute group of people, and they're very, very energetic, and they are making progress, and they're working on this Central Park, and which, as I said before, will have that nice veteran focus, as all of our Lake Central communities have. We love our veterans, so I will keep you updated on.
Great, thank you. And I have nothing for Dollars for Scholars nor the St. John Redevelopment Commission. So we'll move right into our official school board business topics consent agenda. Dr. Veraco.
Thank you again. Seek board approval for the minutes from our last meeting on November 7th, and seek approval for the claims, payroll, and extracurricular expenditures that you received in your packets last week.
Motion to approve those items?
Motion by Mrs. Kelly,
Second.
second by Dr. Medlin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. There are no public comments regarding action items, so we'll move right into our official school board business topics regular agenda. Dr. Veraco.
And for our first recognition this evening, we'd like to invite Mrs. Petralia forward. Yolanda, is she reading this, or? Yeah. Board want to reconvene in front?
Sure.
Sure.
So Miss Michelle Snow was chosen as the Indiana Association of School Principals Academic Coach of the Year after receiving a nomination from one of her Bivitch peers. Who is also here, Ellen O'Rourke. Congratulations.
Michelle? 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 I see- okay. Oh, that's all right.
Now, I always have to give a few shouts about Michelle, because she's real quiet about it, but if you remember, and I remember this so fondly, when I took over the principalship at Bibbage after I'd been at Lake Street School in Crown Point, there was no spell bowl or math bowl in the Lake Central School Corporations. So I went up to Michelle and I said, Michelle, would you sponsor a spell bowl team? She didn't even think twice. She was just right on it. So she is the reason, and I swear, this is no exaggeration. When I talked to the lady in the office down at the Indiana Association for Gifted Children, or that's not the name of it, Indiana Association for, what is it? IACE. What? Anyway, Indiana Competition for Excellence. Yeah, the Indiana Competitions for Excellence. What she told me, Diane told me, the secretary, is that this area up here in the region has the strongest response in Math Bowl and Spell Bowl. And she said, I think a lot of it has to do with the energy that Michelle Snow brings. So I thought I'd share that with you. And I always like to remind the students when they're here that Michelle was a risk taker. You know, she took the risk. She said, yeah, I'm going to try it. And that's the type of attitude we need to have to get through in life. So, okay, I'll go back up. You're welcome.
And for my second item this evening is to seek board approval for Mrs. Susan I to attend the ISBA Legal Seminar on December 9th in Indianapolis.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Marshall,
Second?
second by Mrs. Kelly. Any discussion?
If I could, I would like to amend that as a possibility that I would like to go also on December 9th. I tried to clear my calendar. I don't have it totally cleared yet. But if we could amend the agenda so that it would include me also to go,
Okay,
and I will take care of the registration or talk to Val about registration.
Are you going to transport? Are you going to ride with us? We're leaving at 5:15 in the
Probably
morning.
not.
Okay, so,
I'll probably drive down the night before and stay with some friends in Indy, yeah.
okay, so I think the best thing to do would just be to attend, and then they can bill us after the fact.
Okay,
Okay?
All right, I
But
just-
we'll amend the thing tentatively to approve you to be able to attend.
very good. Thank you.
all right. Do I have to revote because we amended it?
Yes, please.
All right, will somebody make a motion on the amendment?
Okay, I'll try that. Motion to amend to allow Dr. Malkow to also attend the ISBA conference?
All right, we have a motion by Mrs. Kelly,
Second?
second by Mr. Marshall. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. We'll move right along to our Director of Human Resources Personnel, Mrs. Mucha.
Thank you. We are recommending that the following personnel items be approved.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Mrs. Kelly,
Second.
second by Dr. Medlin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Also in your packet, you'll find some information about high school summer school, the dates for high school summer school, and the subjects that will be taught for your information.
Any discussion?
No, but I do have a question to ask Terry about the head varsity girls wrestling coach. Did you have a hard time getting a wrestling coach for the girls?
Actually, no, we had someone pretty quickly that,
Okay, and
Was
how about
interested.
the head varsity soccer coach?
head varsity volleyball for the boys, you
Or
mean?
for the volleyball, yes.
Yes, that came pretty quickly also.
Wow, okay. So now we just need to get the team members.
We already have some people interested.
They've started? Yeah?
The girls wrestling did.
Girls wrestling.
They're doing fabulous, yes, yeah.
Oh, I've heard some of the girls are very good. Yeah, all right, thank you. I just was curious about that.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to our Director of Primary Education, Dr. Bracy. Oh, you have nothing? All right, Director of Secondary Education, Mrs. Castaneda.
Thank you. For my first item, I am seeking your approval for the professional leave requests.
Move to approve the professional leave requests.
Second that motion.
Motion by Dr. Medlin and a second by Mr. Marshall. Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. For my second item, I am seeking your approval for the field trip requests.
Motion to approve the field trip request?
Second.
We have a motion by Mrs. Kelly and a second by Mr. Marshall. Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And for my last item, I just wanted to discuss some changes with our IOA summer course offerings. If you recall, this past summer, I brought to the board a change for Lake Central's graduation requirements. Due to the added rigor of the graduation pathways, we decided to decrease the number of credits that students had to earn to a true core 40 instead of the 46 where we had it set. In the past, we have allowed students to take IOA summer courses and really had no limitations on it. However, with this reduction in the number of credits that we're requiring for graduation, we no longer feel that that carte blanche approach is really necessary. So what we're going to do is we're going to allow students to take IOA if they've attempted a course here at Lake Central but want to improve their grade on it. So their first attempt is with us, and then if they want to retake it in order to improve their grade, then we would allow them to take IOA. We also would allow them to use IOA if they were a senior who was trying to graduate at the semester. And so there would be a limited group of courses that they could choose from in that scenario, which would be government, economics, personal financial responsibility, health, and composition. We would cap that at 4 credits max because they already have 56 opportunities during the course of their time here at Lake Central. And even if they were graduating at semester, there would still be more than enough room to fit everything they need into their schedule. The last change we would make is that if a student was pursuing something that we don't offer here at Lake Central, for example, IOA offers American Sign Language, and that's not something that's available here. We would allow them to pursue that. And in that case, if they were going for the academic honors diploma, you would need 6 credits worth of that in order to qualify for it, and we'd let them go above the 4 up to a 6 credit max. But those would be the only situations where we would allow the use of IOA because of the reduction in the number of credits that they need to graduate. We just feel like it's not as necessary as it was before. Any questions on that?
You know, Sarah, it was very hard for me to hear all the particulars in what you stated. Do you have something written that you could email out to me?
Of course.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Our Director of Student Services, Mrs. Grimala.
Thank you. I just wanted to update the board on a training we hosted at the end of October. We had 98 staff members, which included teachers, counselors, school psychologists, principals. I think we had an occupational therapist there as well. They all participated in a 2-day training with Dr. Tricia Berg from Safe and Civil Schools. The training was on a intervention method called the Tough Kid Toolkit. So it was a strategy-focused training. It was a really nice complement to trainings we've done with Dr. Desautels and earlier trainings we did on CHAMPS, which is a overall classroom management strategy. One thing that we heard from a lot of our teachers is that they had very limited training on classroom management in their teacher training programs. Most said they had about 1 class in all of their college coursework. So they really believed that they all had students who would benefit from these strategies. They were able to, most of them sat sort of in their groups with their buildings, so they were able to do a lot of brainstorming throughout the 2 days. And we got some really good feedback from it. So we've had enough interest that once we start looking at remaining grant funds, we might try to host it again to get more staff members through.
I did hear from some teachers about it, and they were very excited about it because of the needs of the students in their classroom, and this teacher was talking about restraining, and it's like, no, you don't, no, there's other ways to do this, so it was very timely. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now we'll move on to our Director of Business Services, Mr. James.
Thank you, Mrs. Suze. When I sent the board packet out on Thursday, we had yet to receive any information from the state about the annual teacher appreciation grant. That changed since then, and on Friday, school districts across the state were notified how much each district as a whole was going to receive in December from the grant. Last year, the school district was awarded approximately $344,000. This year, it's just under $340,000. So in essence, materially very close to the same amount as last year. The grant is eligible to be given out to certified staff based on who have received a effective or highly effective rating. The state law mandates there must be a 25% difference in the amount given to those two levels. In 2017, the Legislative General Assembly changed the law that said only classroom teachers are eligible to receive the grant, even though we have many other certificated employees who get a rating as well. So the people who have been carved out of the grant include guidance counselors, deans, school psychs, social workers, our ed tech trainers, administrators, assistive tech coordinators, et cetera. Our administrative team and historically the board has always valued what these other staff members bring to our students. And in the past, we have sought the board's approval to use education fund money to pay a stipend to those aforementioned people who've been carved out of the grant and to be in the same dollar amount as the people who are in the grant. And so I am seeking your approval tonight to pay a stipend to those groups that I mentioned. I don't have the dollar amounts per person yet. We are focusing on doing our teacher pay raises for the next pay. Next week, I will start working on the computations for the TAG, the Teacher Appreciation Grant, and we intend to pay that out on a separate pay on December 9th, which would be before our next school board meeting. So that's why I seek your approval tonight to do that. And then what I would do is once I have those calculations made, I will bring that back again on the December 12th board meeting to have you bless it again. So I seek your approval for that.
Motion to approve that additional compensation.
We have a motion by Mrs. Kelly,
Second.
second by Dr. Malco. Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And my last item is to seek your approval for the donations that were included in the board packet.
Move to approve the donations?
Motion by Dr. Medlin, and I will second that. Any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
And I'm being told there are no public comments. So with that, we'll move on to our board comments and consideration of future agenda items. Mr. Marshall.
Thank you. This has been a short and sweet meeting this evening. I have no particular comments to offer.
Thank you. Mrs. Kelly.
I'd just like to wish our staff and our families a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Dr. Medlin.
No comment, thank you.
Dr. Malco.
I do have something really positive to share, and it's perfect because one of the principals is here. Your Education Foundation is, as I told you, trying to reach out and be more community-oriented. So we have a person from the community who is wanting to be a member of the board. This is a letter she wrote. I'm a parent of a first grader at Watson and a fifth grader at Grimmer. You're not Grimmer. Wrong guy. You're Clark. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish it. We moved to the area and Lake Central School Corporation in 2019. My older son attended 2 years of preschool in a well-funded private school in Chicago, the lab school at the University of Chicago. I was extremely nervous about withdrawing him from that school and enrolling at Lake Central. Frankly, I did not expect the quality and commitment of the Lake Central teachers to match the teachers at his private school, where they were paid a lot more money, where they are paid significantly more money. Not only have the teachers at LC matched, they have widely exceeded my expectations. My children have had committed and talented teachers at Watson and Grimmer. Every staff member and administrator I interacted with at Watson was welcoming, kind, responsive, and committed to students. So, pretty exciting, and you just need to hear those positive words, because that's what keeps us going in this world that we live in. She loved the work that the foundation is doing, and she is also an employee at the University of Chicago. They moved to St. John to be near her husband's work, and he and his 2 brothers are all Lake Central graduates. So, celebration. Yay, yay, yay.
Right, and are you done? I don't want to overtalk you. But, you know, our LCTV and Publications, they went to St. Louis, and, you know, they brought home 9 awards, too, at their convention, so. The LCTV and Publications on the 14th went to St. Louis, and they brought home 9 awards, so that was good to hear, so. And I would like to also thank Mr. Stanish and the high school for their Veterans Day program. Fortunately, that was the only program I was able to get to this year, but I'm sure they all were great. But I can only attest to the one that I attended, and it was fabulous. So with that, we'll move to Dr. Veraco for board calendar of future activities.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So winter sports have begun. Check your calendars for activities. I think there are still some holiday concerts to come for both band and choir at our secondary schools. And our next board meeting will be here on December the 12th. Same time, same place. Thank you.
And with that, do we have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Ms. Kelly,
Second.
second by Dr. Medlin. All in favor?